Go Green, a Family Matters Earth Day special, is made possible by the following partner.
At Providence Health and Services, we're as committed to the health of our planet as we are to the health of our patients. That's why we're doing our part to support sustainability. Providence knows a healthier world makes for healthier people.
It's tapping into a new source of energy.
We're looking to connect people to their yards, but then to understand how their yards fit into a bigger picture.
The sky is the limit.
To send it to a landfill and just let all that energy go to waste and in the process create greenhouse gases, that doesn't have to happen.
The awareness of what we put in the trash and what we put in the recycling or what we put in the food waste is at a pretty high level.
Go Green, a Family Matters Earth Day special.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Dave Selesky, and welcome to Go Green. Here in the Northwest, the movement to reduce, reuse, and recycle is stronger than ever. In the next half hour, we'll meet some people who are blazing trails to reduce the burden on our planet. We're here at the Metro Waste Transfer Station in Portland. It used to be food scraps like this would head towards the landfill, but today they're going to a place to be transformed into power.
Plate to Power is a food scraps recycling program. It transforms materials that were going to sit in a landfill and turns them into renewable energy. I work with schools and businesses in Gresham and help them participate in our food scraps composting program, Plate to Power.
When you go and recycle your waste, you separate your milk cartons, and then you go and you drop off your fork or spoon, and then you separate your food waste from the trash. It has separated the weight from all the trash that we have throughout the whole building. It's a lot. Just the volume alone, just about 10 gallons of it could weigh up to about 60 pounds. The kids have done an awesome job with it.
We have a green team here at Hogan Cedars of 5th grade students, and along with their teacher and our head custodian Nick, then we said let's go for it.
We put up the sign so they sort of get the gist of it, and then if they do need help, like the kindergartners, they'll ask and we'll help them sort it out.
In weight food scraps, we deal probably, depending on any given day, up to 60 pounds per day, especially on the weekends when we're very busy, and we have a separate container out here that we dump it into, and they come and pick it up. It's a very simple process.
We are doing anywhere between 20 and 30,000 pounds a week. Basically 2 truckloads full of food waste that would otherwise be going into the landfill every week.
The kids know that it's going to electricity, and they're very curious on how that process works.
Conversion of food waste into renewable energy in the form of a biogas plant is relatively a new concept. A facility like ours that is processing primarily post-consumer food waste is relatively unknown. In the Northwest, for sure, but in largely throughout the United States. We're not looking for just one kind of food scrap. We're looking for pretty much all of them. From the lettuce to meats, proteins, even some of the fats that aren't really amenable to composting, oils and things like that are great food source for the bacteria here. In our case, everything is containerized in tanks, and it's anaerobic, meaning it's devoid of oxygen. And we use a lot of mechanical processes to move the material through the system. The food waste is processed through a hammer mill that grinds it up into a soup or stew kind of material. Food waste in here goes through a horizontal screw auger, goes in through here, comes up this inclined auger, where it drops down into a hammer mill spinning around about 1,700 RPMs. There's a fan on the top that blows air through here to separate out the plastics from some of the heavies. We bring back liquid digestate back into the process to make it pumpable, and it flows through this pipe on the way out to the mix tank. This is our mix tank or homogenization tank. It's material off of the hammer mill flows into this tank. It's a 600 cubic meter tank. In that mix tank, there's a different set of bacteria that break down the food waste largely into acetic acid, fatty acids, carbon dioxide, and hydrogen. The bigger one is our continuous stir tank reactor. In that tank, all of the food waste that's broken down gets converted into methane, CO2, a little bit of ammonia, and hydrogen gas. The tank in the back there with the dome, that's our gas holder on top of the post digester. The dome itself is a double membrane gas holder. The outer one has a blower on it, keeps it always taut. The inner membrane fluctuates with our gas production and then our biogas consumption for the engine.
This is the 16-cylinder engine. This is where the gas is converted to turbine. And the generator over here. The gas inside the engine is combusted. It turns the turbine and then powers the generator from there. That power gets wheeled across the power lines here by the rural cooperative, goes over transmission lines, and then is consumed through Portland General Electric's territory.
We're actually recovering the energy and the nutrients from that food waste, and we do have room for more. You still have some material for composting, and you still have the nutrients later to grow the food back with.
We don't want to keep putting everything into landfills, especially when they can go and provide energy and other sources for our environment.
The Northwest is really a pioneer in this industry in terms of waste reduction education and finding creative uses for the waste that we produce. There's so much built up energy in this food that has been put into it in the process of making it, and so to send it to a landfill and just let all that energy go to waste and in the process create greenhouse gases, that doesn't have to happen.
It's an unusual wood that's on its way to becoming a leader in the lumber industry. Find out how harvesting juniper trees is protecting habitats and creating a long-lasting, earth-friendly product.
There's two species that are pretty much tied for first with us. One of is Douglas fir, which is the quintessential framing material. We do a lot of Doug fir framing lumber. We also do some Doug fir trim and flooring products. Tied for Doug fir and growing in popularity every day is our juniper. The juniper is coming from eastern Oregon as part of a rangeland restoration effort, and it's got some great properties that make it really well suited for our outdoor applications. Juniper is a native species to eastern Oregon. A little over 100 years ago, we had about 1 million acres of juniper. Today we have about 8 million acres of juniper. That's the result of fire suppression primarily. We used to have relatively cool fires that would go kill off the juniper seedlings and keep them up in the rocky outcrop areas. Since we've suppressing those fires, the juniper has begun a slow march down into the grasslands and the sagebrush habitat. As a result, it's altering habitat for the sage grouse, it's depleting water tables, and it's contributing to soil erosion. So you've got a unique situation here where you've got environmentalists, ranchers, public land agencies, and at this point sort of the general public all agreeing that we need to do something about the juniper. That doesn't mean eliminating it. It is a native species. It just means returning it back into its natural range. The effort to remove juniper has been going on for some time, but originally most of that juniper was piled and burned at cost and at expense to the environment as you're releasing that carbon in the atmosphere. As we've been able to find other uses for juniper, the revenues that return to the communities and the loggers and the ranchers help to accelerate that restoration effort and can create some jobs and create a great product for us at the same time. The primary use of our juniper is building raised bed gardens. So with the proliferance of backyard gardeners throughout the West right now who are looking for effective and organic ways to raise their own produce, the juniper is a great product. You can build about a knee-high raised bed garden. It's not going to have any chemicals in it, and you can expect to last for 25 to 30 years.
It's a natural habitat that can be found in every neighborhood. But is your backyard well suited for wildlife? See how the Audubon Society is helping homeowners make birds feel more at home in the backyard.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nikki.
I'm Nikki from Portland Audubon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The program is called Backyard Habitat Certification, and it's a program in partnership with another organization called the Columbia Land Trust. And it's a program where we're looking to engage and recognize and encourage urban property owners who want to make changes in their yards that will benefit wildlife.
Well, I think the most complicated part is I was really trying, as I have been for the last 35 years or so, to get rid of some of the invasive plants in the yard, which were probably planted many, many years ago as ornamentals.
This is an invasive species called Italian arum. And so she's got it here, and then there's little bits of it that are kind of poking up in there. We send a technician out to your yard. They spend about 1 hour walking around your yard with you, talking about your goals, looking at things you've done already, and talking about ways that you can enhance your yard for wildlife in the future. Once the technicians visited your yard, they leave and they write you up a site report that they give you, and the site report outlines the recommendations that were talked about, all of your next steps, and a plan for getting those done. And then you get discounts on native plants and some other incentives to help you along the way. Once you're ready to get certified, you call us back out. So many native plants really artfully mixed in with all of your ornamentals. It's gorgeous. We're looking to connect people to their yards, but then to understand how their yards fit into a bigger picture of conservation in our region. Enhance your yard, improve the habitat quality of your yard, provide for birds, pollinators, maybe amphibians, depending on where you live. You have an amazing yard, and you have the silver certification. So, there you go.
Thank you
Official
so much.
certified backyard habitat. Great work.
Good.
We have about 219 species of birds that use our urban area. We live at the confluence of two major rivers, the Willamette and the Columbia, and because of that, they face challenges from domestic house cats, they face challenges from invasive weed species, pesticides, and so it is important to get out and be talking to property owners about the role that everybody plays in mitigating for those hazards and then replacing some of the habitat that's lost.
The incandescent light bulb. It's more than 100 years old, but the power and the waste involved makes them pretty inefficient. But there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and it has 3 letters, LED.
LED is a light-emitting diode, and simply a solid-state component that was energized emits light, and because it's a solid-state component, it really doesn't care how many times it gets turned on and off. It's quite resistant to heat and cold and so forth, and it opens up all kinds of control possibilities now because of it being basically a technology device. Well, incandescent lighting is really a hot wire. Inside that lamp is a very thin filament that gets very hot to the point that it glows brilliantly. Heat comes out with that. About 10% of the power that goes into that lamp comes out as heat. So there's the issue of heat, having to get rid of that heat if you have air conditioning in a space, and it's a finite life because over time that's going to wear out and break. LED has, versus maybe 10,000 hours in an incandescent lamp, going to 50,000 hours of life with an LED. A huge, huge increase in longevity, its ability to be controlled, the relative lack of heat that it generates, and just being a very, very flexible, controllable source. You don't care how many times you turn it on and off, how quickly you make those changes. It's just a very, very versatile light source. So now that the LEDs the power is turned on, these glow brilliantly. They put out a great deal of light without a great deal of heat. Again, because they're a solid state component, they last like electronic components last. You know, a 50,000 hour life of these versus that 1,000 hours from a light bulb means a lot of the designs of these don't necessarily need to be replaceable. LED can take the place of traditional light sources such as these recessed downlights being LED, and because of the flexibility of LEDs, now you can have all kinds of innovative type lighting rather than the traditional, such as this thin LED strip lighting we have in here, taking the place of a traditional ceiling troffer like you might be used to. The sky is the limit. The quality, the type of light, the color of the light, whether it's brilliant white or with a bit of an amber hue, and the amount of light put out by an LED lamp is really impressive now.
It's time to hit the garden and start planting, but which fruits and vegetables are the keys to your good health? Our friends at Providence Health and Services dig in with advice.
When you're going green and getting out into the garden, there's a lot of benefits apart from the vegetables that we'll be talking about. There's the cross-training aspect. When you're digging, when you're tugging, when you're crawling around looking for weeds, when you're getting sunlight and vitamin D, all these different things are part of fitness. Good food not only helps prevent disease, but also can now help reverse the disease process in many cases. Around this time of year, there's a bunch of things you can start with, and so this is rainbow chard. Not only are they strong on fiber like all vegetables pretty much, there's a lot of vitamin K in these, so they help bone strength and various aspects of your immune system. So here's a few blueberry plants, and blueberries are so easy to grow in this climate, and year after year they're there giving more and more berries every year. Berries that are good for your eyes, good for cancer risk, lower diabetes risk, are good for your heart. There's kind of nothing that blueberries don't do. So Brussels sprouts, all the same arguments that apply to anything else in the cabbage family: heart disease, cancer, eye health, diabetes risk, all apply to Brussels sprouts as well. Incredibly productive plants. So strawberries, like all berries, have a vast range of nutrients also. Once again, the focus has tended to be on cancer risk reduction with strawberries. They're easy to grow in this climate. They tend to be pretty good producers, so people feel like they've kind of gotten their bang for their buck. And they're also associated with the reductions of things like diabetes. Beets are kind of fascinating because they have this huge family of antioxidants and also nitrate. And so people can actually eat more beets and celery and see meaningful reductions in their blood pressure. Herbs shouldn't be overlooked. They're pretty easy to grow. Most herbs are loaded with different oils that increasingly are associated with good things happening to your immune system. But once again, they make other food taste better. So for example, if I'm going to barbecue a chicken and I take a handful of rosemary stalks and stuff it in there, or I recently did a leg of lamb on a bed of rosemary stalks, the improved flavor is essential to really enjoying the food. So the bottom line is, if you grow your own vegetables and herbs, you're going to be healthier, you're going to be fitter, you're going to have better vitamin D levels, you're going to be happier, you're going to have dirt under your fingernails, and there's a certain amount of self-righteous virtue that comes from that. And behind me is an emergency room. You want to avoid an emergency room, eat more vegetables. So get out there, get in the garden, get your hands dirty, enjoy yourself, and enjoy the fruits of your labor.
If you be my star, I'll be your sky. You can hide underneath me and come out at night. When I turn jet black and you show off your light, I live to let you shine. I live to let you
You have no idea how your health rolls out in waves of good. Providence.
Hi, I'm Carl Grimm with Metro, our regional government, and we're here in Blue Lake Regional Park in the Nature Play area. Nature Play is a way to connect kids to the natural world through creative, unstructured, and collaborative experiences. It uses natural elements like plants and logs and rocks and dirt. Nature Play can even help children become healthier, smarter, more cooperative, and even more creative. There are over 24 Nature Play areas and parks across the region. To find one near you, check with your local parks agency. Another great thing is you can make a Nature Play area in your own yard, no matter how much space you have. Now, the most important and easiest part about a Nature Play area is loose parts. I'm talking about sticks and grass and pine cones and leaves and rocks. You want things of all different sizes, shapes, colors, textures, so kids can move them around and build things and have imaginative play. It really stimulates their creativity. Now, scrap wood is great because kids get to build stuff. It really improves fine motor skills and creativity and imaginative play. Next thing you want to do is create some space for using all those loose parts. Now, that can be a corner of a balcony, or it could be a section of your yard. Building a teepee and growing pole beans on it is super fun and pretty easy. All you need are some poles, and bamboo works great, and something to tie them up with, like recycled bicycle inner tubes, and then you can get to work. Now you want to tie it nice and tight up here so it's strong and doesn't blow down. I am going to attach a few strings just so it makes it even easier for the beans to climb up these poles. They usually don't have a hard time since they are natural climbers. Now, the all-time favorite bean is scarlet runner bean. They have bright red edible flowers that kids love to eat. Plus they make foot-long pods and have bright purple beans inside. Now this right here is called a pebble pool. It's simply a depression in your yard surrounded by some stones or wood, filled up with little rocks that are fun to play with. Now you can reuse logs and wood rounds and turn them into an awesome little obstacle course. It really is great for kids developing their balance and their gross motor skills. Really fun too. Be sure to keep your yard pesticide free to protect your kids from avoidable exposure to toxic chemicals. And to learn more about nature play and about healthy and safe yard care, ask Metro.
One is a powerhouse on the highway, the other a powerhouse on the court. Find out how they teamed up to form an earth-friendly partnership from the three-point line.
Daimler Trucks North America has been in Portland for about 70 years, and we're fanatical Blazers fans. They came to us with Threes for Trees, and we jumped on it immediately. It was a perfect match. Every time the Blazers score a three-pointer in the home season, which they do frequently, we donate 3 trees to help restore the Sandy River Delta.
Recently, all the dams on the Sandy have been removed, so it's now a free-flowing river. In the removal of those dams comes restoration of native habitat along the stream banks and in the delta here. Friends of Trees brings people together in the Northwest to plant and care for street trees and restore natural areas.
We hit a lot of threes. That means we get to plant a lot of trees. To date, we've scored 767 three-pointers, which means we've planted 2,301 trees.
We had about 100 employees come out by the busload to plant these gorgeous little sticks that you see around us.
It was amazing having, all the employees from Daimler out planting, and Terry Porter came out, and it was sunny and beautiful.
I kind of see these little trees as each one representing the employees who felt compelled to come out here and give back. We have employees who are very serious about protecting the environment, and they were machines out here planting trees.
It's important to us, important to our fans, important to our employees that we're being considerate and thoughtful about the impact that we're having.
What could be better than combining 2 great loves, the trailblazers and trees?
For more information on Threes for Trees, go to the Family Matters section at KATU.com. We're here at the Mount Tabor Reservoir. It's one of the main sources of water for the city of Portland. And the water's constant flow inspired a company to take a simple concept and turn it into a clean source of energy.
We believe very strongly at Lucid that water is the most important resource on the planet. We're an energy company, and so it's very important that we are able to deploy our technology without impacting the operations of water infrastructure. So as the cost of water continues to rise, and energy is the largest cost except for people for delivering water, we want to reduce the energy impact of water for cities around the world. We were founded by 3 scientists that had this idea that they could make a very efficient turbine, put it into a river or stream, and produce electricity from it. And they did that for about a year, and what they found is it's very hard to predict the flow of water in a river or stream, and it's environmentally sensitive. The head of our engineering group had this idea that if you took that turbine and you put it inside of a pipe, you'd be able to control the conditions, predict the energy output, and you'd do it all without any environmental impact. There are valves that are inside the pipeline which are used to control the flow and to reduce the pressure so that by the time it gets to your house, you turn on the shower and the water comes out at the right pressure. We locate our turbines upstream of valves. These valves are there to break head pressure, to slow the water down. We do the same thing, only we take that energy and we convert it to electricity. Our engineers have really developed is a unique shape of a turbine that operates inside of a water pipeline. So this is a prototype of the turbine that we have in the Portland project. It's a 42-inch spherical turbine. It's basically has 5 blades. with around a stainless steel shaft. So you can see that it's basically a very simple design. There's really nothing in the pipeline that impacts the water except for the blades and the shaft. And so there's nothing that could leach out into the water. It's very safe. It's all been certified against water standards that exist in the United States for anything that's in a potable water system. Our system comes with a turbine inside of a pipe section, and the pipe section basically bolts into place. So you can go into an existing pipeline, or you can be part of a new pipeline that's being built.
So our turbine is located about right here, a 42-inch spherical turbine, and it's simply spinning in the water that's flowing through it. It connects to the generator. The generator then goes to the power electronics and then off to the grid. You can see the generator shaft up above it, and then you can see our turbine shaft below it.
The water comes flowing through, and because the water is moving, it has energy. It spins the turbine, and then it just keeps going out to businesses and people around the city. And then what we do is on the outside of the pipe, we have a generator that spins when the turbine spins, which then connects to a component called an inverter, which connects to the grid. You can see that the blades are shaped like a wind turbine or an airplane wing. They're sort of tear-shaped, so they're bigger on the front and then get very narrow on the back. And so with the motion is sort of a lifting motion. So it's different than a traditional hydro turbine, which impacts the water and is really a way to extract as much energy as possible from the water. Because we are going into mission-critical water pipes, the water has to flow. And so you can see right through it, and at the same time, the blades are shaped in a way that it catches the water, but doesn't slow the water down. We produce electricity around the clock. And so utilities can count on the electricity. The people who are managing those pipelines know where every drop of water is going through that pipeline 20 years back. And we can get that data in order to predict the energy output so that the utilities can then feel that they know what's going on. So it's a big advantage over solar and wind. And the other thing is it has no environmental impact. It's tapping into a new source of energy that currently isn't being taken advantage of.
We've only scratched the surface on ways we can ease the burden on our planet. For more information, head to the Family Matters section at KATU.com. There you'll find a complete resource center with links to video clips and information to help you go green. For K2 and Family Matters, I'm Dave Selesky. Good night.